Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out here for you. We're going to be talking about Ukraine, President Vladimir Zelensky, and also U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken making an unannounced visit to Ukraine to ensure support for Kyiv. So before we get into that news, I just want to do a quick reminder and let you know tomorrow I'm going to be heading out of town. I'll be gone until the 19th. Tomorrow is going to be May 15th, which will be my birthday. So I'm heading out on vacation for a few days. I'll be back on the 19th on Sunday. And then by May 20th, the following Monday next week, we will be back to normal operations when I get back to the Boyd News studio. But I'll be on a laptop from now until then once I head out tomorrow, okay? So thank you so much for tuning in. Just wanted to give you that quick heads up. So let's talk about this story here. So Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, has made an unannounced visit to Ukraine to ensure support for Kyiv. Now, he's talking about, while he's here, all this weaponry that's going to Ukraine right now. They obviously just got a $61 billion aid package from the U.S. that got passed about a month ago. And this aid is starting to slowly trickle in, okay? It's not going in quickly, and it's going to take a lot of time for all this equipment, all these weapons, the vehicles, ammunition, everything. It's going to take a lot of time, probably several months, to get everything over to Ukraine. And at the same time, while this aid package is getting passed, we now have a new front opening up in the Kharkiv region and potentially the Sumy and Chernihiv regions as well. So these are new fronts up in the northeast part of Ukraine that were not happening before. And now Russia's launching massive attacks in these areas, and Ukraine is finding it difficult to hold ground in these areas. And they're also very short on men. Okay, men, weapons, supplies, everything. They're short on everything. So the fact that Antony Blinken is here meeting in Ukraine unannounced, okay, didn't say anything about him showing up. This is not a good sign, okay? This is obviously a bad sign of him showing up here, and this probably shows that Ukraine is in a very difficult spot right now, and they have been for quite a while now. That's why I believe NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, he visited Ukraine just about a month ago, or maybe less than that, and he made an unannounced visit as well. So this just shows that Ukraine is in a very dangerous spot, and we're going to talk some more about this. So I've got a few X posts we're going to be going over today. No articles, just videos and X posts. So let's talk about these here. This one's from Volodymyr Zelensky. Today I hosted Secretary Blinken for a detailed discussion of the battlefield situation, support for our soldiers, and ongoing defense cooperation. We discussed the need for Patriot systems in Ukraine to protect our cities and communities, such as Kharkiv and the surrounding region. 2 Patriots for the Kharkiv region could significantly contribute to the protection of lives from Russian terror. We also talk about preparations for the Global Peace Summit. It is important for us that the United States and President Biden participate, and that America's role in maintaining rules-based international order does not weaken. I am grateful to the American people, the United States Congress, and President Biden for his team for their support in our fight for freedom and independence. We appreciate the United States' decision to continue its support for Ukraine, and we discussed how to best implement the announced aid packages and get weapons into the hands of our warriors as soon as possible. So we're going to go over this video here now of Volodymyr Zelensky meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and they're going to be discussing some things that will be in English. Thank goodness, so we don't have to read any subtitles. So it's about a 4-minute video, so bear with me and pay attention because they talk about some good stuff here. So let's take a look.
It's so good to see you.
Welcome.
Wonderful to be back.
Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Mr. Secretary of State, colleagues. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming to Ukraine, especially these days. Not simple period for Ukraine, and a tough period for the east of our country, for our warriors. Thank you that you came, especially these days, to support Ukraine. Thank you for this signal. Also, I wanted to thank you from all my team, all Ukrainians, to crucial package for our forces, for our warriors. Thank you so much for this package. Thanks to Congress. Thanks President Biden. Please, best regards from us to him and to administration. We are thankful for bipartisan support, and I know you did a lot also for this positive decision, and of course we are very thankful for for this to Americans, to American people. So big appreciation from Ukrainians to Americans for this. I want to discuss with you about some I think, very important issues. The first, the decision of the package was crucial for us. It's very important to get it as quick as possible. And the second one point is air defense, the biggest deficit for us. I think that the biggest problem, yes, and we need today 2 Patriots for Kharkiv region, because the people are under attack, civilians and warriors, everybody, they're under Russian missiles. And of course, I want to discuss security guarantees, how our teams work on it, and peace summit, which is very important for us. We need participation, not only United States. We need we need President Biden, and also your help to involve as much as possible countries to peace summit. And I think a lot of things. You're very welcome.
Thank you. Well, Mr. President, thank you very, very much. And first, it's very good to be back in Ukraine. Very good to see you. I bring as well warm greetings from President Biden.
Thank you.
All of us admire your extraordinary resilience, your endurance, your strength, your leadership. And we know this is a challenging time, but we also know that in the near term, the assistance is now on the way. Some of it's already arrived. More of it will be arriving. And that's going to make a real difference against the ongoing Russian aggression on the battlefield. And we're determined, along with many other partners for Ukraine, to make sure that you succeed on the battlefield. We're equally determined that over time, Ukraine stands strongly on its own feet, militarily, economically, democratically. A strong, successful, thriving, free Ukraine is the best possible rebuke to Putin and the best possible guarantor for your future. And for all of that, the United States is and will remain a committed partner. We've traveled a long road together these past couple of years, and we've seen the extraordinary courage of the Ukrainian people. And we know that that courage endures, and that only reinforces our determination to do everything we can to help ensure your success. As you've mentioned, there are a number of critical issues that are now before us for the months ahead. And we want to make sure that together, along with many other partners, that we make these next months successful, that we deal with the challenges that you have, and that we push through all of them, and we do it together. So I'm eager to discuss all of that with you, and thank you again for having us today.
Okay, so there you go. That's U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken there to give some support to Ukraine and let them know that the United States is going to stand with them to the very bitter end. And we know that, like I said, this $61 billion aid package has been passed, and it's going to take some time for them to get these weapons. But in the meantime, obviously, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was saying they need Patriot missiles. They've been talking about this for a long time. They need somewhere like a dozen of them, and they're very expensive, okay? They cost billions of dollars just for one unit. I think it's at least $1 billion for a Patriot missile system, so they're very expensive, and it's not easy for any country to really donate these to them because of how expensive they are, other than maybe the United States, of course. But right now, the pressure is being put a lot on European countries to step up because the United States is doing so much for Ukraine, and they're doing the majority of the heavy lifting. So I want to talk about a few more things here. A few other reports that are coming out, okay? This is from Lord Bebo. Elections in Ukraine will take place when all Ukrainians can vote, meaning all of them, says Blinken. So as long as Russia holds territories, there will not be an election, even if there is a long-term ceasefire or peace. This is what Lord Bebo is saying here, but this is what Blinken said. So this is interesting that this was brought up because this is showing here that obviously the United States is most likely going to be committed to helping Ukraine even take back these territories that were taken from Russia at the start of this war, and also the Crimea being annexed years ago. So, yeah, it looks like, according to this information, that this may be the United States' plan is to completely take back all of Ukraine, not just, let them call for a peace plan and just kind of end the war and let Russia take the territory that they have currently. No, the United States looks like they want all of it back for Ukraine. So just take a look at this. 26 seconds.
Working with the government and civil society groups to shore up Ukraine's election infrastructure. That way, as soon as Ukrainians agree the conditions allow, all Ukrainians, including those displaced by Russia's aggression, can exercise their right to vote. People in Ukraine and around the world can have confidence that the voting process is free, fair, secure. Working with the government and civil.
So you notice how he says there that all Ukrainians, even in the regions that were taken by Russia, that all of them would have the ability to vote in the Ukrainian elections, and that basically elections won't be held until that happens. So, yeah, it looks to me, at least from what I'm hearing here, that Ukraine and along with the United States, their plan may be to try to take back all these regions at some point. And this would probably have to be if, like, Russia failed. They would have to completely fail militarily, I would think, in order for this to happen. But I thought that was pretty crazy news coming out. So I wanted to report that to you guys. Next up, from Rockefeller, NAFO, Raccoon, Spec Ops. We are bringing Ukraine closer to and then into NATO, says Antony Blinken. Ukraine may receive an invitation into the alliance sooner rather than later. So I've talked about this before. This was reported at least a month ago, talking about Ukraine potentially coming into the alliance, the NATO alliance, that is. We also had Jens Stoltenberg, the Secretary General of NATO, come out and reaffirm that he said that Ukraine will eventually become a NATO member. So let's go ahead and hear that from Antony Blinken here directly.
We're bringing Ukraine closer to and then into NATO. We'll make sure that Ukraine's bridge to NATO is strong and well lit. At the last NATO summit in Vilnius, we're bringing.
So just a quick clip there. As we can see, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reaffirming that Ukraine will become a part of NATO. Now, I really think this next 6 months to a year is going to be very interesting, because I think we're really going to find out what's going to happen here in this war, okay? Because I don't think Russia can continue to fight this forever. I think they can for a short while. They also made some moves recently, removing Sergei Shoigu, the defense minister, and installing an economist, basically, not a military type of guy. It was more of an economist. So obviously they're trying to set up the Russian economy to align it with the war effort and make it easier for them to maintain this war for a longer period of time. And maybe even if they have to go to war against NATO, they want to be ready for that. So we're going to have to see how this plays out. But again, there's U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reaffirming that Ukraine is getting closer to being into the NATO alliance. So next up, from Sprinter Factory, Blinken called the current stage of the Russian special operation critical for Kyiv and admitted that the coming months will require a lot from Ukraine. Now, this is a pretty big admission, because just like I said just a second ago, that these next few months, the next 3 to 6 months, maybe the next year, we're going to see something's going to happen. Something major is going to happen here. We're going to see some sort of shift to figure out who's going to lose this war, who's going to win the war, and at least get closer to identifying who's potentially winning this, okay? And then what maybe the outcome will be of this war after it's done. So finally, let's take a look at this video, 50 seconds long. Let's see what he has to say.
Our support, the Ukrainian people can and will achieve their vision for the future. A free, prosperous, secure democracy, fully integrated into the Euro-Atlantic community and fully in control of its own destiny. We're meeting at a critical moment. Putin is ramping up yet another offensive against Ukraine in Kharkiv and across the east, sending wave after wave of Russian soldiers, Iranian drones, North Korean artillery, and tanks, missiles, and fighter jets built with machines and parts supplied by China. The coming weeks and months will demand a great deal of Ukrainians who have already sacrificed so much. But I have come to Ukraine with a message. Our support.
Okay, so he said there that the coming months are going to require a lot from Ukraine. So this is obviously going to get really bad over here. It's going to get much worse than it was before. And it looks like Ukraine's going to have to start getting used to fighting with their fingernails, basically, because they're very short on troops. I just reported that in a video earlier this morning, talking about the Kharkiv update, what's going on in the Kharkiv region, and they're very, very short on reserve troops. They don't have a lot of troops to refill the front line if something happens. So they're definitely going to have to go all in here and try to hold Russia back, because Russia's launching major offensives all over the country right now of Ukraine. And Ukraine just doesn't have enough weaponry or even men to fight this war. So it's getting very difficult for them. And again, that's why I think U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has visited Ukraine and made an unannounced visit. So let me know down below in the comment section why you think he visited Ukraine so abruptly and out of nowhere. If you think there's another reason for it, go ahead and share that down in the comment section. But that's going to be it for this update. If you enjoyed this update, please smash that like button. And also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.